Morning. Hauling tanks again today. Phil's getting ready to bring another one. We got 3 empties. I did work a little bit yesterday, and I did that 75 acres that I was going to do Saturday and didn't get to. So we've got 3 empty tanks and a partial on the bar now, and I'm going to go get a full one. Phil's going to get a full one, and then we're going to get started putting the anhydrous on, and hopefully Phil can keep up hauling tanks at least until Brock gets here at like 11, and then he can help too. So we'll see how far we can get today. All right, I got a tank down to the field. Phil got a tank down to the field. We've got 3/4 of a tank here or so left. So we're heading to the field. This thing is, man, it's awesome in the field, but it is a heavy beast on the road, and it just throws you all over the place. Those caster wheels, and if it gets to swinging side to side, it really throws the tractor around. So I'm taking a little easy, going slow. All right, we're moving. This bar works really well, except for the rows on the outside dual and where the tires on that bar run. And I don't think it's anything different. I think it's just that the ground is so much harder there from being run over. Those are the only ones that aren't sealing very good, but it's all right. So yesterday when I was finishing up and I hooked up this tank and I started running like I had been, it kept tripping the safety valve. So those tanks have a valve that will snap shut if it senses the liquid flowing out too fast. Yeah, that one was tripping. So we can only go about 6 miles an hour with this tank, otherwise it'll snap that valve shut, and then we don't put anything on, and that's a problem. So hopefully this is the only tank that's that way and we don't have to get it again, but it's all right. We're half empty already, so we'll finish these end rows and putz along here until we can hook a new tank up, and then we'll open it up. Well, I jumped out on the end to see if I could figure out if there was anything wrong with this row unit that it wasn't sealing. The other side didn't seem to be quite as bad, and well, there is. Look at this one. Now look at this one. We're missing something here. This beaver tail. So I called Dad, he's gonna bring me some. That should help. Also, while we're waiting for him, I was showing you guys this closing system and how it was just a little different the other day, comparing it to this one, and you guys noticed it. I did not see it, but it's not centered. This one here, notice where the beaver tail and the row unit is in relation to that disc compared to this one. And so Phil and I were looking at it the other day, and what we decided is it's the bushings in here. There's some play there. But these are all cast pieces. I don't think they will bend. So it's almost got to be in here, and I'll show you another one in just a second that makes me think that even more. So row 14 over here was kind of doing the same thing. It's not as bad, but it was doing it. Look at this bolt. You can see, I don't know if you guys can see, I can see, it's bent. It's completely obvious that that whole bolt has bent. And so that was the bolt that Phil got me on Saturday, but they didn't have any of the bushings, and they didn't have any of this washer. Look how puckered in that washer is, that we need to fix it right. So it is working, and they're doing their job. They just look different, but something that you notice once you get it out in the field that was pretty hard to find in the shop, and we'll get it fixed up. Okay, Dad brought me some tools and the parts that I needed, and we should be good to go here. Much better. Amazing. That little part makes all the difference in the world. Cool. Dad is gonna go spray wheat. So he finished spraying the corn and the beans yesterday. Yeah, still leaking some. That's okay. He finished spraying the corn and the beans, the pre-emerge herbicides yesterday, but our wheat is heading out, and it is time to put on a head scab fungicide. So we use mostly Prosaro, although we're trying some Miravis Ace this year, and he's gonna start spraying that today because it's time. Well, we got a tank change. This one's working much better. We're flying through the field here. I did have to put a new gasket on this. I don't know, can you guys focus? Can you see that crack around the outside edge there? That one wasn't no good. So I usually carry some of them. I need to go through my thing and see if I got any more. I'll have them get me some. Yeah, now we're gonna fly. Well, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Might as well finish off all the food I've got with me. Well, this is kind of boring, guys. I just drive back and forth all day and change tanks about once every 45 minutes or so. I don't know what to film. When I plant a little sliver of 3 rows in, then I have to come back and side dress the little sliver of 3 rows later. And we'll have to do the same with the combine. That's all right. Anyway, we're just finishing this field up. As soon as we're done here, we're gonna head to the next one. And I think I'm gonna swing into the gas station and grab some lunch on the way. It is noon. This was about 86 acres here, and we're doing good. So we're heading to the next farm. There's 180-ish at the next couple of fields. I don't know if we'll get it done or not today or not. My wife and I got a meeting about our house stuff at 5:30 tonight, so I got to quit around 5. So see how far we make it, I guess. Nothing to see here. Well, this corn looks great. So far, all of our early planted corn, the stuff that I've been side dressing, has just looked fantastic. I'm thrilled with it. These are the fields you guys may remember. This was wheat stubble on this side of the road. There was bean stubble, excuse me, on the other side of the road. These were the fields that we planted that day that I worked really late, till like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I made it into 2 videos because it was long. Yeah. So, I don't remember when that was. 27th of April, 28th of April, something along those lines. So this corn has been planted for just under a month. Today's the 24th, I believe. 24th, 26th, something like that. Anyway, one thing you'll notice when we get into some of the later planted corn here is that it doesn't look like it's very far behind some of this early stuff, and it's not. That stuff has grown so fast, come up out of the ground in a week instead of the 2.5 or 3 weeks that it took this corn to come up. So there's not as big of a difference between them as there is a planting date difference, but you will see throughout the year that this corn stays ahead of the late planted stuff. Even if they're the same size and they look about the same, this corn's going to be ahead all year. And when it comes to time to tassel, pollinate, when we get to harvest and the moisture levels dry down, all of that stuff, that month of planting date difference is huge. And you can't always see it, but it is always there. All right, I got this field done. I wasn't quite supposed to get it done with this tank, but I did, which means I'm off just a little bit on my rate, but that's okay. We'll get out and switch when we get up here and probably swap tanks because there can't be hardly anything left in it. There's 29.7 acres there, and should get just about 30 on a tank, not quite, so we're real close, as long as the tank is close to empty. But anyway, we're gonna hook it up, that one, go back there, keep moving here. I've had a couple of people call me today looking for beans. I think one of them is replant, another one the guy just needs a few more to finish up, so I might have to treat some beans today. It does not take long to cover some ground when you're doing on average 44 acres an hour, so we've only got 15 left in this field. I feel like I just started it. There's Brock, he's taking that empty back. He brought me another one across the road there. Phil grabbed that tank over there a little while ago. That, unfortunately, is a small tank, so that'll take us, what, 20 minutes to empty? Probably a half hour. It sure is dusty. We could use a shower to settle the dust if for nothing else. Actually, we're not dry yet. In fact, the tile is still running over here in this ditch I saw a little bit ago. But if we miss all the rain this week, then we're gonna start hurting. About 3 days ago, they had called for rain every day from Sunday to Friday. And now they're saying maybe Wednesday and Friday. Maybe. So the chances of rain are diminishing, which is, it's not great. You don't want to start a dry trend now, and everything is off to a really good start. tank change here, and I was just looking stuff over. Another one of those beaver tails was missing. It was on one of the wings though, so it was still sealing fine, but so I replaced that. We better get a couple more of those to have on hand because we only had like 4 used ones, and I've used 2 now. The other thing I noticed was that this vapor tube had popped off. It's full of mud. I'll get it. But anyway, I got that put back on. This is a small tank, so normally I like to run those big tanks that are 1,450 gallons. This is a 1,000-gallon tank, so about a third smaller, but that's what we could get right now. Well, since this is a touch boring today, and there's not a whole lot for me to film, let's have a little conversation about anhydrous and what it is and why we use it and all of that good stuff. So we've talked about it a little bit, but we'll go into a little bit more. I know it's kind of scary looking when I have to put this on to change tanks and stuff. In reality, I don't need to wear the respirator to change the tanks. They recommend gloves and goggles. I just wear it for personal comfort because do I need it? No, not every time, but well, at one time the bleeder valve's open and you get a breath of it and you know it. So anhydrous, what I call anhydrous, it's really anhydrous ammonia. Anhydrous simply means without water or lacking water, so it's ammonia. It doesn't have water, therefore not aqueous ammonia, which is a pretty common thing. And its chemical formula is NH3, 1 nitrogen, 3 hydrogen atoms, but the nitrogen atom is a lot heavier than the 3 hydrogen, so it's 82% nitrogen by weight. And that's why we use it for a fertilizer, because it is a nitrogen source. And it is a concentrated source, more so than liquid or dry forms, which are also different types of nitrogen that farmers use sometimes. We just like this because while more challenging to handle, it's easier because you need less volume of it, and it's cheaper source of N generally than liquid, especially, or even dry. And it's the right form for our plants. So what happens is we inject this anhydrous as NH3 into the soil. It is lacking water and therefore is desperately seeking to bond with water on a chemical molecular scale. And I'm not a chemist, so I can't explain it very well. But basically, as soon as it gets into the soil or the atmosphere, it's trying to find water, and it binds with that water to form NH4. Right, so it's picking up a hydrogen atom. And so once it does that, it becomes available to our plants, but the microbes and stuff in the soil start working on that NH4 atom, molecule, and converting it into NO3, which is also available to our plants. I believe that's a nitrate or nitrites, either way. It is available to our plants as well. And that is okay. The problem is NO3 is a leachable form of N, so it bonds to that water and then it can filter down through the soil or run off or whatever else. So we want it to be in that NH4 stage or NH3, but our soil can hold roughly 10 times the CEC, or the cation exchange capacity, in terms of pounds of nitrogen per acre. So where we have CECs here of 15 to 20 generally, we can hold 150 to 200 pounds of nitrogen in our soil without really worrying about it leaching too much. Now, if we were on sandier ground that had a CEC of, say, 8 or 10, and we were putting on 180 to 200 pounds of nitrogen, then you would worry about it when the next time it rains, attaching to that rain, not being able to stick into the soil and just washing out through the tile or into the groundwater. We don't want that to happen. So there are nitrogen stabilizers that you can use. Generally, when we're side dressing and applying it so close to when the plants are going to use it, those aren't real necessary. But anyway, that's kind of how it works and what it is. And obviously our plants need nitrogen to grow. They help with photosynthesis. They give that corn that nice dark green, beautiful color that you see. Grasses need the added nitrogen, so that's why we apply it to our corn. And we also apply nitrogen to wheat, although in wheat we use the liquid form, 28%. We use the sprayer to put it on. But beans are a legume. They will produce their own nitrogen. Well, technically it's a symbiotic relationship with a bacteria in the soil that produces the nitrogen that the beans use it. But that's why we don't apply this to soybean ground. So it's just on the corn that we use the anhydrous, and it can be dangerous to handle. But as long as you know what you're doing, you can do it safely and not have any issues. And so the problem becomes when it's seeking to bond with water so desperately. If you get it into the atmosphere or the air or a leak around you where you can see the white gas puffing off, well, that anhydrous will bind with water wherever it finds it. And whether that's in the soil where we want it to, water vapor in the atmosphere, which is not good for large amounts, but it's a good thing if you have a leak or something that it's binding to that. The worst thing that can happen is that it binds to your lungs or your eyes or your skin or any liquid tissue membrane on your body, because then it will cause burns. It will suck all the moisture right out of it. You can also see this in the corn, and I'm sure if we go and look at some of the corn that we've already applied it to a few days ago, you'll see some browning and some burn on it. Well, that's because that anhydrous touched the leaf tissue and it sucked all the moisture out of it. It won't really hurt it. It will grow out of it because the corn, the growing point is still below ground, and you're just doing cosmetic damage. Not something we want to see, but it's not a big deal. But that's why we have to be a little bit careful when we're handling it, is because it wants to bind with water and it'll suck it out of whatever it can find. Once it's in the soil and it has found that water and turned into NH4 instead of NH3, it's very stable and safe. It's not going to hurt you if you go dig your hand in the soil or anything like that. And the plants love it. They can take it up readily, use it for what they need it for, and everybody's happy. All right, our tank is about empty here. We got 400 or 500 pounds left on it. If you have any more questions about anhydrous or why or how or what it is or anything like that, leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them, but I am not a chemist. I'm not a professional fertilizer management dealer, anything. I just use it, and I know enough about it to be able to use it and do it safely. Well, for the complaining I did about the single tank here, this will fix that. Holy mackerel. This is a double 1,000-gallon tank, so twice what I just had. I've never used one of these before, but they've had them, and I thought, what the heck, let's try them, especially since we couldn't get any more of the big tanks. They're kind of strange because it's an offset tongue, so it straddles 3 rows, which means it doesn't pull quite straight behind me, but it does pull from both tanks at once, so we can do 40-ish acres here on one tank, or one hookup, which is awesome. Well, it's basically too dusty for you to even tell that it's pulling off center, but that tire is following the inside dual on the tractor, and that tire is following the outside dual. So, yeah, that's, cool. Okay, see that rock? I put that rock there. Actually, Rylan and Brayson put that rock there. We put it right there for a very specific reason. It is outside of where the bar runs. Yeah, you can't see it, but I missed it. We need to get down here with a gator and pick it up. But we're 10 miles from the farm, so kind of got to trailer it. We just haven't got there yet. We've been busy. It's stuff to do, you know? Well, it does not take long to blow through a 15-acre field when you're 40 foot wide and going 10 miles an hour. 9.5. So we're wrapping this up. It is 4:30 though, and I've got to go. I've got to load up a box of beans, not a box, a pallet of beans, deliver them to a customer that's by where my meeting is tonight. And my wife and I got that meeting, and then we got to come back. And I don't think I'm going to come back here tonight, but it's possible. Or maybe Phil will want to come and run this while I'm gone. I don't know. I don't care. He can do that. We do have a small leak on this one valve right there. It's the one that we had taken apart and put that heavier bracket on. Apparently I didn't get something tight, so I don't have the right wrenches to fix that, but since I'm done with this field anyway, we'll just get the valves closed, and then we can tighten that up either tomorrow morning before we start, or tonight, or whatever. Yeah, we'll see you back at the farm. Okay, well, I lied. I said I was going to see you back at the farm. I completely forgot. My wife and I went to our meeting. Look, I got the boys with me. You guys say hi? Hi. It's dark. You can't see them. But anyway, Phil finished that field down there, so that's awesome, and that's good. So we've got all of that anhydrous done. I've got another 100 acres of early planted corn that I think we can do tomorrow. It's that corn-on-corn stuff that we looked at late last week. It's growing, it's looking better, and I think we can go side dress that. And then we're all into the late planted stuff that's only been in the ground for like a week and a half. And whether we want to start side dressing that right away or take a break for a week or so here and let it get a little bigger, I don't know. We'll figure that out tomorrow, I guess. But we got at least some we can do. So we do have to get the tractor home in the morning, and we've got a couple empty tanks around. They've got a couple full ones there. Brock should be back. We've got a bunch of cleaning up and stuff that needs to be done if we don't have side dressing to do. So there's still lots and lots going on. Dad's got a lot of the wheat sprayed. Gonna finish, well, not finish, gonna spray some more of the head scab fungicide on wheat tomorrow, and then some of it we need to wait on. It's not quite ready to be sprayed. So lots and lots going on. So anyway, thanks for watching today. Have a great night. Hey, hit that like button for me. I feel like I shouldn't have to tell you guys every day to hit that like button, but if I don't tell you, you don't do it as much, and I don't get to 1,000. So I want 1,000 likes on every video. I mean, that seems reasonable, but you know, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, guys. See you tomorrow.